Your transition from, cultivator to advocacy, how did that begin?
We were transparent about everything from day one. We felt like the number one way to avoid bad attention and any of the possible negatives was to bear it all, right? Because if there was anything hidden, like, and we, ever messed up and showed behind the curtain on accident or anything like that, we were liable to get into a serious situation. And so we said, hey, let's do everything by the book. We're going to license with the government. We're going to post it on social media. We're going to invite the local police department and the DPS and the local DA, and we're going to invite these people out. We're going to invite politicians out. We're going to invite other growers out. We're going to invite the community to come to our facility and see our process and just be open and clear and transparent about it from day one.
Hey, yo, we put free money where the mic is. He got it on lock like Rikers. Green rebates get you paid, so a lot of people like us. Money Talks Podcast, watch it on all your devices. Woo!
So welcome back to the Money Talks podcast. Today's guest, I have been excited. I have been watching his stuff on Instagram and YouTube. I have been a follower. I have been a fan for a while. He's a true force in the Texas cannabis and hemp scene. If you basically are affiliated with cannabis in Texas, you've heard his name, you've seen his videos, you know who he is. Colton Luther, how the hell you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. That's a hell of an intro, so...
I stayed up all night rewriting that intro. I hope I nailed it. But how are you feeling today, man? I know you're one of the busiest dudes that I've probably ever talked to. So these last 3 months especially, it seems like it's been a whirlwind.
Yeah, I'm on top of the world, man. A lot of people are. The fight's not over. We definitely have so much more ahead of us. But we're happy that the things we do are for something and they're paying off. So the vibes are high, the energy is high. We got an event tomorrow even that we're all coming together for. So yeah, it's been great, honestly. And the reception too, of like you're saying, I mean, people are receiving our stuff loud and clear on a nationwide scale. It's very important to us. We're excited that that's happening.
Absolutely. I mean, all eyes are on Texas right now, and you're kind of at the forefront of that. So how does that feel?
It feels right, honestly. I mean, like we at first we're really quiet, building our foundation, making sure we were the best at cultivation, but also the best at manufacturing. And I think that the entities that I'm working with have done exactly that. And the time is perfect to put Texas more on a national scale. And what I always like to say, dude, is I'm really a beautiful blend of like heady grower, like OG thought group, but also the new age suit politician business side as well. And like I just feel like I can bridge that gap very well. And that's kind of what's been happening, I think, over the last 5 years, to where now me and a few others, it's not just me, trust me, there's people working way harder, putting in more money than me. But I think we all collectively have started to become the true face of the movement here. And it's all playing out, the right way that I think it should have. So that's why I think it feels right, to be honest.
Totally. You could just really feel the passion and the love you have for the plant. Where did that first begin?
Man, so I'm originally from Texas, born and raised, sixth generation, and my parents made the mistake of taking me to a hockey game, like ice hockey, and I saw ice hockey, and I said, I will never play football, baseball, or any other sport but this ever again. And so my parents were like, okay, no way you're going to get this because we're in Texas, you can't skate, you can't do any of this stuff. So obviously I wanted the challenge. I ended up getting into it, became really good, and I was dead set. I'm going to play in the NHL. There's nobody that's going to stop me. And I literally chased that dream until the bitter end. The bitter end was basically trying to break into the pro level and just taking a ton of injuries, especially to the brain. So I ended up getting a series of concussions over a few years and basically made the decision to quit and just kind of pack it up and realize I only have one brain and one life. And so it's not like something like a shoulder that I can get surgery on and get replaced. So I took that very serious. I took a step back from like athlete world, and I literally went to college, kind of milled around in college. I went to college for politics, which comes in handy now. But never really took it super serious. Didn't know what I wanted to do. But throughout that time, I was finding cannabis. And cannabis was helping me, and different cannabinoids were helping me manage what comes with, like the PTSD from getting these brain injuries, the anxiety, the stress, the short fuse, and all those CTE type of symptoms that I was starting to have to deal with in my daily life. And so when I figured out that after college I could basically just be whoever I wanted to be, it was all on me, and I wanted to jump into a way of getting this medicine and these cannabinoids out to more people. And so the hemp program right at this time in 2019 was coming on the scene. It had never been done before. I saw it as like the next green rush, the next oil rush that Texas would experience, where people would want this product. There would be a huge demand for this product. And if you were in early, you were going to get a piece of that pie. It may not have been the largest piece, but you were going to get a piece. And the pie is so big that it was just so irresistible to me to be able to help folks and take it serious and start operating in legal cannabis in Texas by the book, and, basically make that my career and my life and my brand and my identity. And I think it's playing out that way so far, thankfully. But it really was just using the plant, dude, to help me focus and deal with the stresses of adult life with having these brain injuries and stuff. That's really what got me into all of this.
Damn, I had no idea you played hockey. Were you because hockey's the one sport where you are allowed to fight. You're like encouraged to fight. Was that a big part of your game? Does that happen like at the youth level too? Like high school hockey players
Oh
fight?
yeah, I mean
Fighting each other?
they try to make sure you don't, but we definitely did. I did eventually get to the level where it was like not only allowed but encouraged, honestly. Sometimes tasked upon you to see if you actually had what it took. And I was a very aggressive player, and I had a chip on my shoulder, always being the Texan, so I was always trying to prove myself, and oftentimes that was done through physicality, not overall skill. And so I definitely played the line of being a very aggressive player, which inevitably leads you to fighting and little battles like that. And then as much as you give out, you take. So it was just one of those situations. Like I said, I was kind of that aggressive player. Yeah.
Right. There's some guys on the hockey teams where their only job is just to fight. They're just the enforcers, right?
Totally.
Right.
Totally. I could do it all. I like doing it all. And I think that's what helped me get out of Texas and have a little bit of a career in it, was just kind of being able to be as, effective offensively as I was defensively, and have that a little aggression to it. But it led me to obviously the brain injuries, and my body hurts still to this day. I'm not even 30 yet, and I feel like I'm an old man, and that kind of thing. And cannabis and cannabinoids and different things like that have helped throughout my entire journey here. So.
And I love what Calvin Johnson's doing with Primitive. We were just up there in Michigan, and he's, he had to hide the fact that he was taking cannabis, but he said that
Yeah.
cannabis, that's a guy who was taking hits by the greatest athletes in the world, are just running full speed at him. And he said that cannabis was just the best alternative to these pain pills that they kind of push down your throat in the NFL.
Totally.
And now he's become an advocate, and so it's cool seeing more and more athletes just really get behind the plant and get behind cannabis as a way to heal. So 2019. What was it, when Texas legalized hemp, what was the initial reaction? Like, do you remember that time? Were people shocked? Did it kind of fly under the radar?
Yeah, some of us were very, very gung-ho about it. We were very eager to get involved. We knew that it was coming because of the federal stuff in 2018. We knew that if the feds were going to change anything around hemp or cannabis and start to allow cultivation and products to exist, that inevitably Texas typically follows what Republican presidents do, right? And so we knew with the 2018 Farm Bill coming out of the Trump administration that pretty much the Farm Bill in Texas was going to be very similar. And so when we were able to start cultivating, and they created a program through the Texas Department of Agriculture, which was awesome. We were basically able to get a license and start getting into a program and pulling these thing called lot crop permits, which is, I'm sure, similar to stuff in other markets, where we're just basically telling them what we're doing and how much we're growing. And then it basically started down the path of just a process of regulation and cultivation, as well as creating the products, like gummies and consumables. It was a slow start, right? It was a very slow start because we understand where we're operating, right? And it's not California or Colorado, Oregon, whatever, right? It's Texas. And so the hemp conversation, even though it may be easier than the marijuana cannabis conversation, is still a difficult conversation with some constituents here. And so as I think things grew slowly, people became more open to it socially, and seeing the shops on every corner kind of just brought down the stigma, and it became normalized. And then obviously THCs start to creep onto the scene here, where there's the Delta 8 that got through because it's legal. I mean, by the law. So Delta 8 blew up down here, and then we started seeing the Delta 9s and all these other ones, which I don't really agree with. Like I'm not an alt cannabinoid person. I think a lot of people in the other markets are super against that, and I totally agree. I think it's got out of hand. I'm not someone that likes to say you can't have a certain cannabinoid if it helps you, but like I feel like there's more natural ways to use the plant than that, and I think that kind of got the hemp market a bad name. But as people started to navigate the whole THC language and what's legal, what's not legal, and what is compliant and non-compliant, we really have grown into our own industry here, and we have honestly a phenomenal market out of Texas compared to the rest. And people have plenty to say about that, about why they think that exists, but we really do have a great market as of right now.
And the destigmatization, I feel like you're kind of at the forefront of leading those conversations and just helping educate people and letting them know that, like, just the benefits of cannabis. How many conversations were you having, like, early on with people who just thought it was just like a level 1 drug on the same level as meth and heroin, just kind of people who just weren't educated?
Well, the first conversation I had was with my folks, trying to basically explain, hey, listen, like, this grow is not like some giant cartel operation. Like, I don't have to take a gun with me every day. I don't have to worry about police. I don't, like, everything's above board. It's legitimate. We do what we have to do. And so that stigma with my actual family was the initial conversation I had to have. And then, of course, in the professional setting, I mean, talking to different folks at different walks of life is very, very interesting, because some people who you think, oh man, they don't know anything about this, they're experts. And then other people, you look at them and they're like, there's no way you're not already a stoner, and they have no idea about the products. And so it was really interesting seeing who actually used cannabinoid or CBD or THC in general. And then obviously meeting them where they were at and having some of those conversations about, what are you looking for? What are you looking for? How are you looking to feel? What are you looking to do with this? What's your intentions? And here are things you should watch out for in the market. And I'm starting to take that more serious now, because with my channel growing rapidly and this community getting more attention than ever, education is going to be super important. There are negatives to cannabis. People don't talk about that. There are things and bodies out there that do not react well to cannabis, and that is what it is, right? And so that has been very important, because I don't want people to have a bad experience for their first time, or a bad experience at all, right? Especially if you're trying to use this with good intention for health or recreation. You don't want to get misled by packaging or anything like that. So I'm really glad that it's shaping up to where I am going to be more of a face of the education. But we've had so many conversations with so many different types of people: liberal, conservative, rich, poor, everybody. Like, it's amazing, because this community, it doesn't matter where you're coming from, you can bond over this same substance, this relief, this cannabinoid, and we're seeing that in Texas, and it's a lot. It runs a lot deeper than we ever thought.
Right? Have you, like, how satisfying is it through education to turn someone from a critic to a consumer? Have you done that a lot? I want my whole life to be that. I mean, I love that challenge of being the underdog and proving people wrong, and persuading people to just have an open mind, not even to be a user, just have like more of an open mind, because
like you said, I bridge that gap between the stoner stigma culture and the like professional corporate culture of what people expect, in the business world. And so I can start to bridge that. And I take that very serious. That's part of, I think, lifting a lot of that. And so, yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I take it very serious, for sure. So I'm thankful that I'm able to be in the position to have that leverage to convey people the right message, because I think that's really all it is like if you keep pushing one thing that people already believe, they're not going to change their mind. You have to show them the opposite. You have to show them other modalities, other ways, other people that are involved in this. And I've changed a lot of people, old school ways of thinking to being more open-minded. I've got people to use it, just to try it out and start to kind of dabble in it. And that's super rewarding. I mean, that's what I set out to do this whole entire time. It's take care of Texans and do it for us here and expose more people to areas of the plant that would help their lifestyle.
Totally. Yeah, it's funny. I was just talking to a grower in Michigan who doesn't even consume cannabis, but he's passionate about it because he sees how much it can help veterans, who
Yeah.
don't, who have PTSD or have crazy injuries and don't get the help that they should get. But cannabis has been something for them to lean on. So I feel like everyone who gets involved in cannabis has a why, has like a motivation, like a strong reason why they're passionate. So your
Yeah.
your transition from cultivator to advocacy, how did that begin?
We were transparent about everything from day one. We felt like the number one way to avoid bad attention and any of the possible negatives was to bear it all, right? Because if there was anything hidden, like, and we, ever messed up and showed behind the curtain on accident or anything like that, we were liable to get into a serious situation. And so we said, hey, let's do everything by the book. We're going to license with the government. We're going to post it on social media. We're going to invite the local police department and the DPS and the local DA, and we're going to invite these people out. We're going to invite politicians out. We're going to invite other growers out. We're going to invite the community to come to our facility and see our process and just be open and clear and transparent about it from day one. And we did that, and that's really what led directly into the advocacy part, is just being so used to explaining it at a novice level to people, and then being so used to being open and transparent and just being used to sharing everything that was going on. We just made it a habit from day one. So it's kind of natural, and was kind of built into our whole business model of, while we're going to do this, we're going to advocate for the plant. We're going to advocate for its progression. We're going to advocate for education and transparency. And it was literally all natural. If you look at like our grow page over at Jeremy Green's, which is, I suggest everyone check it out, by the way. The flower's on there. His face is on there. He talks to the camera. We talk to the camera about what we're doing, who we are. We just left it all out there in the open. And so people latched onto that. There's a trust factor with a lot of that that's not always given. A lot of growing or cultivating or any of this cannabis industry sometimes is very elusive and mysterious and closed off. Sometimes it has to be. We didn't want that. We didn't want to bring any preconceived notions to what we were doing in Texas. We wanted to start a clean slate and let people in on the entire experience. And I think we've done that, which, like I said, naturally led us into having the trust with people to become an advocate and a face.
So let's talk about what happened recently, because things are going well, 2022, 2023, and then this kind of like political clash happens. Tell me the backstory. For those who don't know, give us the backstory.
Sure. I guess my backstory might be a little biased, but here, basically, we have a lieutenant governor here that is bought and paid for by people who are always going to be anti-cannabis, anti-hemp. It's been that way for years. This is not our first time fighting bad bills or just legal challenges for our industry, right? And we've been successful in the past consistently because we quite frankly, we do all have our shit together. There's obviously bad actors, but most of us have our shit together, and we're great operators. But he had it out for us. I think it was a little bit personal, but he was bought and paid for by some donors and some influence that goes long back in Texas. And he was determined to ramrod all of his agenda through this legislature or this legislative session, and he did about 95% of that. And the 5% remaining were a few of his other pet projects. One of those included banning hemp and THC to basically pave the way for our corrupt medical program to take over the demand, which they haven't done in 7 or 8 years now, and also pave the way for kind of alcohol regulatory capture of these substances. And so he failed. And he basically held legislatures hostage and said, listen, like, all of your stuff is not going anywhere unless you do what I am telling you to do. And so that's why this bill, the ban bill, made it all the way to the governor's desk. But we made so much noise. We had petitions out there that were getting hundreds of thousands of signatures. We had phone calls, emails, handwritten letters dropped off at the governor's offices every single day. We had press conferences. We had the largest media push in Texas history that has ever been seen in the cannabis space. It was crazy. And we got to the ear of the governor. We got to his advisors and his influences, and they helped us, along with Greg Abbott, the governor's judicial background, helped us get to a veto of just blatant authoritarian bad policy. And he admits to it. He still is like doubling down that like that's what he wants, and we can vote him out of office if we want to. He's still on that boat, which I think is a sinking ship for him. But that's what landed us here, and we literally. I don't want to. It's not a brag because I hate that we have to go through this, but we've all been preparing for this for quite some time with this common enemy, and it was cool because we show up and we're all marching to the same beat. We don't have these big conferences or masterminds or even groups where we connect all the time, but yet from every major actor from every major market and corner of Texas comes together, and without a rehearsal. You know, we have the same scripts, we have the same talking points, we have the same concerns, and it was a beautiful thing. And it just, I think, made everything more connected and a tighter community just by having all of that happen. And I don't know that they realize what they did for us just by coming after us.
Right. Because, yeah, that moment where you went, was it a city council meeting or was it when you testified?
That was so I testified on the actual floor of the Senate for their State of Affairs Committee. And then I testified again in the House State Affairs Committee in just a regular committee room. But yeah, that was a real deal. You know, that was the big show. And we did both of those. We thought it was very important. The numbers that we brought out to those things, I mean, you wouldn't believe it. I mean, we have 60,000 plus veterans behind us. We have tens of thousands of shop owners and their employees and their loyal customers. I mean, we had an amount of people that was just unbelievable. I mean, it filled the whole room. We got kicked out at one point during the testimonies because we were like clapping or yelling and outbursts. And so, dude, it was a true fight. It really was. It was a true fight. But yeah, those were the testimonies from the committee hearings, which inevitably we saw what we said in legislation, like what they proposed back out of the House committee. The substitute that they did for the ban bill was beautiful. It took all of our regulation recommendations and all of our qualms of what is going on in the industry, and it kind of tidied it up in a not perfect but beautiful try at regulating this thing, not knowing anything about it, right? And so then it got to further along in the process, and basically our lieutenant governor, he has a neighbor who is also a politician in the House, who they, I guess, like spoke over the fence, you know, like in one of those sitcoms, and they said, hey, listen, you got to ban this, or else all the House bills I'm going to kill in the Senate. So he goes in and throws a backdoor amendment to the bill, says, hey, we're going to put this language back to being a full ban. It was down to the wire. The House wanted to freaking go home. They passed it. They voted for it, and it was sent to the governor's desk, and then obviously he striked it down. So it's very just shitty politics. We were a pet project. The legislator took a lot of rights and encroached a lot on our lives and liberties this session that was not asked for by them. They had their pet projects, and by messing with hemp, I think they stirred up the nest enough to where people realized that they screwed us in other areas. And this next round of elections is going to be absolutely wild.
Man, when do those take place?
So there's some midterm and stuff, primaries and stuff are happening coming up, and then obviously this next election cycle, there are going to be several representatives. I think even the governor is coming up in the next year or so for his race, which was likely to be challenged by Dan Patrick or the likes. I don't know if that'll be happening now, but it was kind of set up that way, I think. But yeah, at the end of it all, to close this point out, I mean, dude, we had one of the most pro-cannabis sessions in Texas history. We expanded our corrupt medical program, which is a free gimme to someone who will never, ever put a dent in this market. But then you have the ban bill died by veto, and it will inevitably only make it through special session as some sort of regulation bill. So it's like very, very hopeful for the future of this industry and this plant in Texas for sure, which means the hard work only begins.
Yeah. So when's the Netflix documentary dropping? I feel like this is.
So here's the thing. Here's the sneak peek, dude. We've already had someone that's very, very good at documenting things behind the scenes, that has already done some notable projects for the streaming platforms, has been entrenched in our entire fight. We also have the Grow World platform, and Nick over there at Grow World. We are going to be teaming up with a lot of vendors to do some Texas grow tours in the coming days and in the future. And we're going to be going out to like the largest grow in Texas and some greenhouses, some outdoor stuff, some industrial stuff, the processing facility, and really just document not only what has happened and who the good actors are in this industry, but the future of what is now to come. I believe we can become America's cultivator, dude. I mean, there is not enough of this substance and biomass or cannabinoid or for fiber, industrial. There's not enough for the demand that can exist in the world. And so we can definitely get a hold of something huge here in Texas in all areas of this. And we're going to basically set out to highlight that through Grow World and some of our other partners in the coming months. So there definitely is massive documentation on this whole entire fight. Should be released shortly. I mean, we still have a special session, so like we can't we're not gonna count our chickens or whatever before they hatch. There's a Texas quote for you, but we're waiting on that, but we are totally locked and loaded to do some releases on that.
Let's talk about Texas culture in general, because growing up, I always heard like Texas just does everything bigger. It's the biggest state. Does that relate to cannabis as well? Is that gonna relate? Is that like something that you guys are trying to do? Just do it the biggest?
Dude, it is a code that we always will live by. If we're doing it here, we're gonna do it bigger. We're gonna do it better. And I think we're tracking to live up to that 100%. We have so much agriculture here that it's insane. I mean, the amount of talent we have here, the amount of farmers that are looking for a bailout, that are looking for a cash crop. We also have the next generation of agriculture, which is guys like me who went to college that are taking over dad or grandpa's farm, and they're the next generation. And those folks want cash. They don't want to put up windmills. They don't want to put up oil rigs and wells. They want a cash crop off their land at all costs, and this gives them that ability, whether they want to do biomass cannabinoid or they want to do industrial. So there's just a ridiculous amount of opportunity here and space, and we plan to fill those boots. We absolutely plan to take over as much of our own market share as we can, but maybe even the nation at a point. In some sectors. But it is true. Everything here is bigger and better. The culture here is bigger and better. You can drop into Austin on almost any weekend and probably find a cannabis show or a cannabis themed event or a cool spot to hit up that's having something around the culture. And it's like that around the state. More cowboys, dude, smoke cannabis than you would think. And the oldies, the old heads, that are feeling the pain and have worked in blue collar industries for decades. They use these products too to get relief naturally. And it's bigger and better here. And I plan to keep pushing that message. We're going to go out and do MJ BizCon. I'm doing the state takeover this year at MJ BizCon. Going to be involved a lot with media production and stuff with that, and just put us on this national stage here because we are, dude. We're bigger, we're better. We plan to have that kind of motto to us, and it's just in our culture. It's ingrained in everybody. We're not gonna play small potatoes here. That's for sure.
What do you think the main thing that sets like Texas cultivators apart from cultivators from across the country?
Yeah, the ag experience we have here. Like my grower and our partner Jeremy, he worked at a hydro store and built hydroponic systems for a decade before he was ever like a legal grower, right? Other than personal plants and whatnot. But he was an expert, tried and true expert before he ever stepped on the cannabis scene. And from day one had beat the learning curve, and that's kind of what we see here. We see a lot of dudes who they were in construction, so they know how to build their facility, or they were in agriculture to some degree, so they know plants already. So we have like all this foundation of agriculture here, and then you couple that with the mass exodus from different states and different markets that have been saturated, dude. And the safe haven for anybody who is coming from California or some of these other places is Texas and is Austin and is in some of these communities outside of that. And we're seeing a lot of that. So people came here over the last decade. They brought their grow equipment. They converted a garage, or they bought a facility, or warehouse and made a facility, and then they became a licensed hemp operator, started their brand, and really got out there and have started to gain a lot of traction. So, dude, that's really what it is about Texas for me. Is, to be honest, we just have so much talent. We just haven't been able yet to make it known until now, not just because of legality, but also infrastructure. Like, we want to make sure when we come out on the scene, like, we're ready to go. We don't want to get caught with our pants down. We want to be a force to reckon with when people start to pay attention. And we also took this time to fortify here before we see this massive green rush, which is inevitably going to happen, of other brands, other businesses, other ideas coming to Texas and having influence. So that's really what I can attest to as far as like the culture and why Texas is special right now. And we have such a good community of growers, like camaraderie wise. I can step into a room of the best 30 growers and compete against them, and win or lose, I know we can all shake hands and smoke one together and laugh and come back in the next quarter of the year and do it all over again, and we love the knowledge sharing. We love to visit each other's places, and we're really not coming from a competition place, because this place is massive. This economy is huge. This state is huge. This market's huge. The demand is huge. And so if we're all just really good at what we do, it keeps others out, and it keeps us having a little bit more of a pie than we would have had if we all tried to just keep it from each other and kill each other off. And so we've had the benefit of seeing other markets and waiting and fighting our fight here and playing the hemp game and doing what we're supposed to do to watch how things play out, so that we can, again, we beat the learning curve.
What does a typical grow look like? Is it, LEDs? Do you have under canopies? Like, paint me a picture of, a typical like hemp grow in Texas.
Perfect segue, bro. We need what you guys got. We need all the attention of helping us, of course, with finance and rebates, but also just getting attention from different vendors. So it varies from grow to grow, obviously, but like we have someone who's really talented here and an award winner in our circle is Taylor Kirk. Taylor Kirk is a consultant for Fluence, and so he has a greenhouse and indoor spot that's basically always decked out with the greatest Fluence toys. And then, our spot, we do mixed light, so we have some rooms that are LED and HPS, and then we have another long room that's just LED. And so different strains and different things that we're trying to do go in different rooms. And then we also have a greenhouse. And something that's special about Texas, a lot of people are doing, is vegging in a greenhouse scenario and then flowering in the indoor environment. Because our sun here is very free and it is very powerful, and we have plenty of it. And so we build a robust like hormone engine outside, just beefing these things up. And then once they're like ripped and ready to go, we give them this like, 5-star luxury resort to blossom in, and they just outshow, right? And so we're kind of finding that that's the way to manage Texas, because, that's less room that you have to have AC for and humidity control and all the stuff that's disastrous here. But that being said, we need the equipment. Everybody has relationships with brands here and there, or, one room is all this brand, the other room's all this brand. I bought it from a resale, or I bought it from this guy who closed down, whatever. But we're all rapidly scaling and expanding to the point where we need partners that are going to help us with light plans, irrigation, and rebates, and all these different aspects that come with scaling a facility. And I know for a fact the way things are going for the industry right now, there's massive expansion about to happen. There's massive investment about to happen to the folks that are still here and still alive and well and operating. So, there's big brands. There's also small brands. I mean, I know people who have LEDs from Amazon. I know people who have the latest and greatest state-of-the-art name brand everything. So it does vary, but everybody is set up to go for scale, indoor, outdoor, greenhouse, and we need everything that comes with that.
I mean, once rebates really hit, I don't know how I don't know how like available rebates are because it all depends on like the electricity company. But once rebates do hit Texas, it's just gonna be. I mean, it's just like free money. It's hundreds of thousands of dollars. A lot of it is like all your upfront costs for upgrading to LEDs, HVAC, dehumidifiers is paid for, which is nuts.
So here's something to look into though: is like a lot of the growers, well, actually we're all an agriculture company. So there is a ton of tax incentives and rebates and grants because we're agriculture. So it allows us a different avenue for things than the traditional cannabis markets may have, which we could talk more about that maybe on a one-on-one type of basis, because I don't want to give my whole playbook away to everybody out there, but having my cultivation side being an agriculture business has afforded us a lot of leeway with these types of things.
Wow, my mind is blown right now. I had no idea.
Hey, well, this is what it's about, bro. People, it's not your fault you don't know. It's our fault. And again, that's what this time is all about right now, is just getting that exposure. The reckoning is happening that Texas is a huge opportunity. It's a huge market. We do have ways around things in different programs. If you come with an open mind and drop like the preconceived experiences from other places, Texas is here for the taking. Seriously, from you guys, from brands, vendors, down to the cultivators. I mean, it's here for the taking right now.
I'm excited to. Were you at MJ Biz last year?
Yeah. So, I was out there last year. I did a little thing on Nick's stage at the Grow World booth, and was just running around, getting some content and stuff. But it's always a whirlwind out there, dude. I'm sure we were like literally rubbing elbows. We just didn't even know it.
Yeah. Did you see our booth? We had the all the arcade games in the money booth. Yeah.
Yeah, bro. Can't miss it. And you guys were podcasting and everything. I saw all of that. Yeah, it was good.
It was such a fun time. I'm surprised how many people in the cannabis industry can party as hard as they do. I thought it was just get high, pass out by 9, but man, we were going hard. It's just a celebration. Anytime you bring that many people together, you just got to celebrate, break bread.
Yeah, it's like the one time a year I see some people in person, like it's all Instagram or whatever during the year. So yeah, we won't miss it. And we got a lot planned for this year. Like I said, Texas Takeover's happening. Myself and I'm co-hosting with Liz, and Liz is basically the fabric of our community here. She does events and grow competitions and just keeps everybody happy and invested and passionate. And she makes it fun when we suffer. And so we love Liz for that. And we're kind of going to come out with a bang and put Texas on the national stage for this year. And then obviously through Grow World, maybe a little bit through Canna and some of the other brands that are going to have booths. We're going to kind of pop in and kind of strut our stuff and let people know, Texas is open for business. And I have a lot of contacts here to do business and introduce people to different players in the game that are ready to scale and have the money. So, we're ready to break into all of this. It's going to be a good time.
So, where do you see Texas in like 5 to 10 years if it's going at this rate?
If I have anything to do with it, we are America's cultivator, man, or the world's cultivator. We have so much room and capacity to grow here. We can get really good at it and export it at a very, very high rate. And I hope that everything stays, both state and federally stays, viable for what we're trying to do here. I think hemp will change the world inevitably. I don't know, that we've done enough for the fiber and the concrete, and the ways that it can change the world on the infrastructure side. But I know for damn sure we got great biomass and cannabinoid out here, and we plan to literally just grow till we can't no more, and literally supply the world and supply this demand similar to what other nations and other states do. And we're ready to be a force, man. So in 5 to 10 years, if we're not competing as like, number one spot for quality cannabis, we've done something wrong. So.
And I mean, your phone's on the desk and I see it lighting up every 5 seconds. So I know how busy you are. So I appreciate your time. What does, like, one of the last questions I have is, what does an average day, it seems like no 2 days are alike because you're doing so many different things, but what does an average day look like for Colton?
Oh man. Okay, so I mean, for the last 5 years, besides cannabis, I've been building a media company. That's kind of how I know about social media and how to do all of this. I'm sitting at Soundshed Studios. Love these guys. Kind of partner with these guys to get more talent in the studio and studios built and stuff like that. So we balance between that world and the cannabis world, and sometimes they overlap a little bit. Basically, I'm going back and forth between Houston and Austin. And in Houston, we're doing the edible company, growing the like manufacturing side, and in Austin, it's more of the cultivation side. I would say that probably 2 to 3 days out of every week, I'm doing something on the grow, whether it's hands-on plants or business models and all that kind of fun stuff. And then the rest of the time, just working on media in the real world. I'm usually at Soundshed about once or twice a week to do content. Yeah. So, and then recently it's nothing that has gone on recently is normal. It's all been a whirlwind. The politicians can schedule things at a moment's notice. You just got to get with it or not. And so that's kind of like ruined the entire structure of our normal schedule, but we've been able to juggle it and get through. But yeah, it's just a lot of being on the road, man. I mean, like anybody who knows me personally will tell you I put miles on the truck for sure. I'm anywhere and everywhere, trying to be everywhere at once, even to my detriment. But it's what it takes, obviously, and it's for a reason. We're still here, and we're alive and well. It's taken off better than ever, so I don't plan on stopping, that's for sure.
Man, I just appreciate you so much, the time that you've been taking, the time that you had on this glorious Friday. And is there anything else that, you wanted to touch on? Cannabis is the last great, Texas is called the last great cannabis frontier. So like, are
Yeah.
you, what are, I guess, yeah, what are some challenges maybe you foresee coming in the future? Not that we want
Man,
to even put that energy out there, but.
Well, we always got to watch our back with the government, see what they're going to do. I think internally, as far as the industry, we need to all band together and make sure that we defend our claim and defend our stake here in this market to other companies. Not all cannabis companies are going to come here and be friendly. They're not all here for the culture. They're here for the money and the market share, and just we need to be cognizant of that. And yeah, I mean, I think that's the number one thing I would say is we just need to be ready to get a huge influx of activity that we've never seen before on all different fronts, and just be ready to take this even more serious than we have been. It's coming.
Totally. And you make a lot of cannabis content, and something that I'm passionate about and what I love most about my job is like educating people, being educated about cannabis and educating people. But it's tough to do when you get shadow banned, when a lot of cannabis related content, this more than anyone, gets limited. So how hard has that been as like not only a cultivator and advocate, but also like a cannabis content creator? How hard has that been to navigate and to get your content out there?
Luckily, we've been ahead of the curve because we operated a media company for so long. So we would take cannabis and hemp clients, and we always stayed up on guidelines and what would get you a warning or not. And so we've helped people navigate that. We're not always right. We're not always in the heads of people creating the community guidelines or the AI system that will strike you down. But we've been able to even get like banned accounts back from just emailing the right people and making the right connections and stuff. So we've honestly been able to navigate that, and I apply that to my own stuff. And I try to get people to understand that. I mean, what we do, if you're out there looking for some sort of media or social media without the headaches, that's what we specialize in. And we're not just some goons that have an agency. We do this for our own businesses, and we're in this industry, which we know it's all difficult, not only to do social media or marketing, but to make it compliant and not get kicked off and have all this drama behind it. And I've just been implementing what I've learned over the few years on other projects into my own, and just kind of staying on that gray area of like, I'm saying enough to where you know exactly what I'm talking about, but I'm not really overt to get flagged. And one of the things I've done is keep with my podcast, Texas Growers Podcast. Everybody check that out. It's done here at Soundshed Studios in this beautiful environment. It's a non-smoking thing. Like, we have the Culture podcast where it's like first smoke of the day and all this stuff, and you're consuming, and I love it. Like, I watch that. I'm a fan, of course. I do smoke. I'm probably going to step out right after this, right? But I figured putting the name and face and professionalism to the industry a little bit more often is a good thing. And so we just don't have like a consumption show. We don't, you won't find me consuming on the show. And that has helped a lot. Like, I still get age gated here and there, for like plants or ads that I run that are like about products or have plants in them. But, that is what it is. Eliminating smoking has been a really crucial piece. So that's free advice. Like, as soon as you introduce consumption, you're opening yourself up to even more critiques. But yeah, we just specialize in that, man. We don't let anything. That's something about Texas culture. We don't, just because we can't do something or it's hard doesn't mean we're not going to do it. We're not going to find the way to get it done and have an effect on our business. We knew that social and marketing and stuff, it's impossible to shine without it these days. You're not going to grow without people knowing who you are. So kudos to you for making this type of a platform as well, because some growers don't have that time. Like, not everybody is, James Loud, who has a big established brand and can go get in the studio. A lot of people are building. And so I wanted to provide something like that for them to just stop in, tell your story. Maybe it's once, maybe it's every so often, whatever. See if you like it. But let people know who you are, what we're doing, and tell your story. At least you have that, and it's kind of done for you, So
what I've learned doing this is people really want to hear the stories behind these growers. Like, every time we do a collab post, there's so many people that are like, I want more of this. Tell me your story. They want to like get inside their brains. So even if it's just 1 hour a week of them just talking about cultivation or what they're passionate about or the plants, like, people will eat that shit up. So and have you seen, like, you've interviewed a lot of growers, like, what's their like reaction to kind of being out there on social media? Because I know a lot of them kind of want to stay hidden and not put their business out there. Is it kind of tough to get them to talk on camera?
It's getting easier. I think more people have gotten just rubbed the wrong way with the way that things have gone and the way that politicians, even, people like me, I'm going to go out and speak. So if I speak for you and you don't make noise, then I spoke for you. And so as much as people are behind me and they let me speak for them, if you differ or if you have a different opinion from me, you need to get out there and you need to voice that, and you need to come on my show even and talk to me about it. And we need to have those conversations. That's kind of like the thing now is with growers. I'm interviewing a lot of growers that they all don't know each other sometimes. They're not like best friends, but they all think alike. They all have the same goals. They all have the same mission for the way that the industry should evolve and the way that people should be doing business. And so highlighting that on the show, I think, has helped people feel not so alone in trying to fight all these fights all the time. And that's very important. But the consensus of growers is that we are sitting on top of one of the best opportunities probably to come for cannabis in the United States, especially with the way things are going now. And it's more important than ever to literally get out and tell your story. And I tell people all the time, maybe you don't like it, but at least you'll try on my show. I don't charge you. I charge ad partners to advertise with us and get exposure to you and my audience. But you don't have to pay any money. You don't have to commit anything but 1 hour of time to sit in this nice, cozy room and have a conversation about what you do. If you don't like it, don't come back. But odds are, like, you'll like it. The content will do well. People will know who you are. You'll get business from it. Like, it's all part of that. And then they become part of our community. And that's really, I think, the beauty of this is just Texas Growers Podcast is not just to interview growers, because sometimes that puts people to sleep. Like, talking about nutrients and chemistry and science is not for everyone. And I also find that me personally, my grower will listen to other shows or other topics and stuff while we're in the grow working. And I kind of thought about expanding the show to where it's not a solid roster of the best growers. Of course, they're in there, but I also intertwine people that are doing something for the industry, or they're comedians, they're entertaining, they have different brands, they're operators, because we all can start to work together, do business together, collaborate more. And it's literally working. So, Texas Growers Podcast, it has the word growers in it. It is for growers to listen to and to be a part of and to be featured on, but we're not limited to just that. And I think that's something that's very exciting moving forward with how the industry takes off, is because like I definitely have a way to get more people in front of the right audience, which everyone is going to love that in due time when it's harder and harder to reach people. So I'm excited for that. Texas Growers Podcast, baby.
Love it. Well, tell the audience where they could find you on social media, on YouTube, all that good stuff.
Sure, yeah. All my stuff's going on YouTube. We just crushed a lot of milestones there. The community is growing, so everything is pretty much focused on YouTube. You can look up Texas Growers Podcast or my name, Colton Luther, on YouTube. You'll find us. On social media, at Colton Luther 420 and at Texas Growers Podcast. All spelled out. I made it pretty simple. You can find the shorts and stuff on the socials. You can find the long forms over on YouTube. And you can, from my profile, you can check out all my brands that I'm working with. You can follow them, follow along on the grow, follow along on the edibles. That's all right there. So that's like kind of the nucleus to find everything that we're doing. If you're out there and you want to come on the show, hit me up. DMs are open. Beautiful place here to shoot in Austin, Texas. Anybody is welcome. Can do virtual, obviously. And I want to connect with as many folks as possible and do the whole podcast tour. So you're my first stop. Congrats, Ethan. You're the first stop, bro.
Awesome. Well, it was so great talking to you, brother. And we will be in touch. I'm excited to meet you in person at MJ Biz, if not before that.
Right on, bro. You're welcome in Texas anytime. I'll keep you updated with any cool events that are worth it. Well, I'll keep you in the loop on that.
Absolutely. I got a lot of friends who do music in Texas, so I'm actually going to go there, I think, in the fall. So we'll definitely stay connected. Let's make it happen.
Come on.
All right, brother. I appreciate you.